War profiteering is defined as the practice of earning excessive or unethical profits from warfare, often by exploiting the high demand for goods, services, or reconstruction during times of conflict. Is it possible that private contractors are frequently hired by governments to rebuild cities, infrastructure, and institutions, such as schools, hospitals, and power plants, that were destroyed in the fighting? Do governments often profit by rebuilding the structures they bombed? Here are some reasons why war profiteering is so profitable. Number one, manufacturing weapons and ammunition. This is the most common form of war profiteering. Large defense conglomerates, for example, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, RTX, General Dynamics, often see increased profits and stock prices as governments increase military spending, sometimes receiving billions in contracts, particularly in the post 9/11 era. Number two, destruction and rebuilding reconstruction. Private contractors are frequently hired by governments to rebuild cities, infrastructure, and institutions, such as schools, hospitals, and power plants, that were destroyed in the fighting. These contractors can reap significant profits during post-war reconstruction, often in areas where they also supplied the weapons that caused the destruction. Number three, hospital expenses and medical services. While medical care is a necessity, cases have existed where individuals or companies engage in shoddy practices, such as stealing or overcharging for medicines, including in military hospitals, to sell on the black market. Number four, logistics and service contractors. Beyond weapons, contractors profit by providing food, clothing, laundry, and base security to military forces. This can extend to building and managing infrastructure for the military or local communities. Number five, building churches and other infrastructure. Any construction project that is funded by government contracts during a war, including schools, roads, power plants, and community buildings, hospitals, churches, can generate massive profits for construction companies and private security firms. Number six, key concepts in war profiteering. The military-industrial complex, the alliance between the government's military and the defense contractors that supply it, often leading to a situation where profits are prioritized over peace. Number eight, shoddy millionaires, a term from the American Civil War, now often used of those who produce substandard cheap goods, like shoes or clothing, for soldiers while charging top prices. Number nine, revolving door, when former government officials or military personnel become lobbyists for defense companies, influencing decisions to maintain war-related spending. In essence, war profiteering involves profiting from all aspects of the conflict, both in the direct destruction of human life and infrastructure, and in the subsequent lucrative reconstruction.
Hey guys, how we doing? How we doing? Thanks for tuning back in. I appreciate it. Hope you guys liked the last few episodes. Kind of steered away from all the violence and stuff like that. Thanks for the likes, the subscribes. I think I got enough to start going live on YouTube, so I'm going to check that out here pretty soon. Maybe the next couple of days we'll try to get that going, see if we can get that up, see how that works out. Maybe we can get a few more people interested in what we got going on. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate your time. I know, there's a lot we could be doing. I say that all the time, but I just appreciate it. I really do. I like you tuning in. I hope someday that this helps somebody out or gives some people information they didn't know anything about. Today we're going to get into a real good one. We're going to talk about war profiting and who profits when America goes to war. It's just... it's something I've been thinking about, as we have this war going on and it's back and forth, who's really making money when you see all these like insider trading allegations and stuff like that. People making millions of dollars really fast off of information that they can only get from basically an inside source. So, it's just something I wanted to dive into. So we'll just get right into it, tell you guys what I know and what I can see and the stuff that I, gather information on, so you guys have the same information. A lot of people don't think about this stuff, but, that's just the way that it is. So, we'll just get right into it. Let me tell you something most people never think about. When a war breaks out, when missiles fly, when families run for cover, when the world holds its breath, there's another place where the reaction is instant, predictable, and profitable. Wall Street. Because in America, war isn't just foreign policy. It's a business model, a revenue stream, a marketplace. And every time America goes to war, a small group of corporations, lobbyists, and investors get rich fast. Tonight, we're pulling the curtain back on the war economy. Who profits, how they do it, and why it keeps happening. This isn't conspiracy. This is accounting. Let's start with something simple. War moves markets. Look at every major conflict in the last 25 years. 9/11, the Iraq invasion, the Afghanistan surge, Russia invading Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, tensions with Iran. Every single time, defense stocks, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, RTX, General Dynamics, they all jump. Defense ETFs go green, analysts upgrade their ratings, and investors pile in because war is predictable. And predictable means profitable. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, European and U.S. defense stocks spiked as governments announced rearmament. When the Middle East flared up, missile manufacturers saw immediate gains. When tensions rise with China, shipbuilders and aerospace primes get flooded with orders. War is chaos for civilians, but for the war industry, it's a forecast. It's a business cycle. And the people who know the cycle best, the insiders, the lobbyists, the contractors, they're positioned before the first shot is fired. Now let's talk about the money, because this is where the story stops being emotional and becomes mathematical. The United States spends around $800 to $900 billion a year on the military, more than the next 10 countries combined. $800 to $9 billion a year. Over half of that money goes to private contractors, not soldiers, not veterans, not diplomacy, not rebuilding, private contractors. And 5 of them dominate this entire system. Lockheed Martin, RTX, also known as Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and General Dynamics. These 5 companies pull in hundreds of billions of dollars alone in Pentagon contracts every year. Meanwhile, the U.S. spends far less on diplomacy, development, or humanitarian aid than it does on these 5 corporations alone. Let me put it plainly. We spend more money on weapons corporations than we do trying to prevent war. We call ourselves the arsenal of democracy, but the books, they say something different. We're built as an arsenal of profit. How, you might ask? How do these companies keep the money flowing? They buy the rules. The defense industry spends tens of millions of dollars every year lobbying. They hire former generals, former Pentagon officials, former congressional staffers. They fund think tanks that write policy papers arguing for more spending. They donate to campaigns, both parties, it doesn't matter. And the return on investment is absolutely insane. A company might spend $2 to $5 million lobbying and receive $5 to $10 billion in contracts. Listen to that ROI. A company can spend $2 to $5 million on lobbying to get contracts and then turn around and receive $5 to $10 billion in contracts. That's not politics. That's arbitrage. Members of Congress who sit on the Armed Service and Appropriations Committee, the people who decide the Pentagon budget, receive donations from the very company whose budgets they approve. And the revolving door, it spins nonstop. A Pentagon official approves a weapons program. 2 years later, they're on the board of the company that builds it. Imagine. A general retires, suddenly they're consulting for a missile manufacturer. Makes sense. The same people who recommend the wars profit from the wars. That's not national security. That's vertical integration. Again, let me say that again. The same people who recommend the wars profit from the wars. That's not national security. That's vertical integration. Let's get specific. Iraq, Halliburton, and KBR. Halliburton and its subsidiary KBR became the face of the Iraq war profiteering. Billions of contracts, many of them no bid or limited bid period. Fuel delivery, base construction, logistics, investing into overbilling, investigations into overbilling, waste, fraud, shoddy work, and yes, Dick Cheney was the CEO of Halliburton before becoming vice president. You don't have to claim he started the war for Halliburton. Just lay out the timeline and let people think. Blackwater. Private military contractors exploded during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Blackwater, later XE, and then Academi, got massive contracts for security. They were involved in high-profile incidents where civilians were killed, yet the money kept flowing, because privatized war is profitable and less accountable. Afghanistan. 20 years of war meant 20 years of contracts. Construction, fuel, maintenance, weapons, logistics. When the U.S. withdrew, the human cost was obvious, but the financial cost is already paid out. War is temporary, but these contracts, they're permanent because they're going to get paid out no matter what. They're contracts, so they have to be paid out no matter what. You have to meet the contractual obligation to financially substantiate your contract, period. How people profit in real time from this shit. Now let's talk about the part nobody wants to touch. Trading around war. Event-driven trading. We're seeing this right now. This is the part I really wanted to focus on. When a conflict breaks out, defense stocks jump. Investors know this. Analysts know this. Insiders definitely know this. There have been multiple reports of members of Congress or their spouses trading defense stocks or ETFs right before or after key votes on military aid or intervention. Legal? Often, yes. Ethical? Definitely not. After 9/11, there were investigations into unusual options activity in airline and defense stocks. Many cases ended without charges, but the idea stuck. People try to profit from catastrophe. I'm not saying every war is started for stock gains. I'm saying once war is on the table, there is a playbook on how to profit from it. And some people are close enough to the table to front run it. So here's the truth. As long as war is profitable, peace will always be a hard sell. We have a built system where war budgets grow automatically, contractors profit regardless of the outcomes, lobbyists write the rules, politicians take the money, investors trade the headlines, and taxpayers foot the bill. This isn't about patriotism. This isn't about safety. This is about profit. And until we change the incentives, nothing is going to change. What we actually need to start doing. We need to ban members of Congress from trading defense stocks, period. Shut the revolving door between the Pentagon and contractors. Expose lobbying in real time. Shift money from weapons to diplomacy and conflict prevention. Audit war contracts with the same intensity we audit welfare programs. Because if we don't, we'll keep fighting wars we don't need to, for reasons we're not told, to enrich people we never elected. Next time you hear a politician say, we have to intervene, ask yourself, is this a moral plea or a sales pitch? Because somewhere right now, someone is already positioning their portfolio for the next conflict. And until we confront the business of war, we will never understand the politics of war. This is your money. This is your country. This is your future. And you deserve to know exactly who's cashing out when America goes in. So, it's astonishing to me that we have this full-on circle jerk of profit that these people get to make off of Americans' backs like they always do. Like they haven't been making billions of dollars in profit for the last fucking 50 years, 70 years. It doesn't matter. Like every year it's the same thing. They keep making profits. When they don't make profits, America has to bail them out. So when they fail, we bail them out. But when they succeed, they get to keep the profits. America never gets a return on its investment when it bails them out. Remember when we had the financial collapse and we bailed out these banks, and next thing you know, like they're handing out bonuses to CEOs and shit like that. Bonuses normal people like us will never see in our life. Most of us will never even see that kind of money in our life, working for 40 or 50 years. And yet we have to bail them out with our tax money, the money that we go to work for to make every day, when we're the one carrying these companies in the lowest part of the work. So like say McDonald's, this billion-dollar corporation, and the people who are making your money are the ones who are actually in the restaurant selling your food. The CEO is not doing it. He's just looking at how to make more shortcuts to make more money for his profit, for his the board members that they have. He's not thinking about the people who are actually selling the food, whether you call it food or not. It doesn't matter. Like, they're not the ones selling it or dealing with these fucking attitudes or dealing with the crazy people that come in. People have literally been shot at McDonald's for fast food. And do you think that they increase workers' salary based on where they're at and how dangerous it could be? No, they don't give a fuck. It's the same thing with these private contractors. You got guys in the Pentagon who are pitching for wars to start, and meanwhile, they got portfolios that are getting ready to skyrocket the minute that they find out we're dropping bombs. We have allegations of insider trading right now going on. There was an article in the BBC. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'll read it to you guys. See if I can find it real quick. I promise I'm going to get a computer for my phone. Or I mean, a computer for my phone. I'm going to get a camera for my computer. Let's see here. The insider trading suspicions looming over Trump's presidency. Throughout U.S. President Donald Trump's second term in office, traders have been betting millions of dollars just before he makes major announcements. The BBC has examined trade volume data on several financial markets and matched them to some of the president's most significant market-moving statements. It found a consistent pattern of spikes just hours or sometimes minutes before a social media post or media interview was made public. Some analysts say it bears the hallmark of illegal insider trading, whereby bets are made by people based on information that is not available to the general public. Well, that's no fucking surprise that somebody in his circle is trying to inside bet on information that they have. Others say the picture is more complicated and that some traders have become more adept to anticipating the president's interventions. Here are 5 of the most significant examples. March 9th, 2026. The war is very complete, pretty much. Some of the biggest movements have been in oil trades on the futures market. 9 days into the U.S.-Israel war with Iran, Trump told CBS News in a phone interview that the conflict was very much complete. Oil trading volumes spiked shortly before a CBS interview sends pricing. Okay, so future contracts traded for Brent crude oil from March 9th, 2026 from 1800 to 20 hours. Okay, so at 18 hours and 20 minutes, there was a trading spike of 4,000. And then the interview was made public less than an hour later. Okay, and an hour later there was dumps on the crude oil, so they're making money. So price of the crude oil was at 1900. It was when they did the trading spikes at 4,000, so they traded out. So basically they sold their stocks while the price was up, and then at 1930 the price of Brent crude oil dropped to under a little over $80 a barrel. So let's see, 1829, oil bet surge. 1916, Trump says war is nearly complete. 1917, oil drops by 25%. The first time the public would have known about the interview was at 15:16 Eastern Time, when the reporter posted about it on X. Oil traders reacted to this news that the conflict could end much sooner than expected by selling oil, with the price plunging by 25%. However, market data shows a huge series of bets were placed on the price of oil falling at 1829, a full 47 minutes before the reporter's post. The traders who placed those bets will have made millions of dollars from the movement in oil prices. This is how they make billions of dollars really fast. We work forever and we'll never get past 6 figures, and they just make millions in seconds because they have inside information. On March 23rd, just 2 days after threatening to obliterate Iran's power plants, Trump posted on Truth social media that Washington had held very good and productive conversations with Tehran over a complete and total resolution to hostilities. It was a major surprise to diplomatic observers and to traders. 10:48 to 10:50, oil bets surge. 11:04, Trump posts about total resolution to hostilities. Oil drops by 11%. Immediately, stocks rose and the U.S. benchmark price of oil, which had been climbing, fell sharply. As the BBC reported at the time, 14 minutes before the president's post, there was an unusually high number of bets on the U.S. oil price. The same pattern was seen in traders buying contracts for Brent crude, the other major oil benchmark. The trades appeared abnormal for sure, one oil analyst told the BBC at the time. April 9th, 2025, Liberation Day pause. Away from the war in the Middle East, there are other examples of trading activity that have raised eyebrows. On the 2nd of April last year, Trump announced that what he called Liberation Day, a sweeping set of tariffs on goods from practically every country in the world. Stock markets around the globe plunged, but a week later, Trump announced that a 90-day pause on the levies for all countries except China. Stock markets soared. The benchmark S&P index jumped by 9.5%, one of the largest single-day gains since the Second World War. 1800 hours. Traders start making big bets on stock market going up. 1818. Trump announces tariff pause. 1819. Stock market begins historic surge. Again, a pattern of unusual trading preceded these events with an unusually high number of bets ahead of the announcement on one fund that tracks the S&P 500. The number of contracts traded jumped to over 10,000 per minute just after 1800 hours. Earlier in the day, the number had been in the hundreds. Some traders bet over $2 million on the stock market increasing that day, even though it had gone through 7 days in a row of losses. The huge surge could have generated them a profit of almost $20 million. Later that week, several senior Democrats in the U.S. Senate wrote to the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, urging the financial regulator to investigate whether the president's announcements enriched administration insiders and friends at the expense of the American public. When asked by the BBC whether it had looked into these allegations, a spokesman for the SEC declined to comment. The White House, meanwhile, did not respond to a BBC request for comment on any of the unusual trading activities analyzed in this report. January 3rd, 2026, Maduro seized. December 25, burdensome mix account created. January 2nd, 2026, accounts put $32,000 on Maduro being ousted. January 3rd, Maduro is seized and the burdensome mix wins $436,000. Not bad for 24 hours, huh? The recent growth of online prediction markets has also drawn scrutiny from observers. Blockchain-powered platforms such as Polymarket and Kalshi offer users the chance to speculate on anything from weather to baseball to U.S. foreign policy. President Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., is an investor in Polymarket and sits on its advisory board. He also acts as a strategic advisor to Kalshi and has been contacted by the BBC for comment. In December 2025, one user created an account on Polymarket called Burdensome Mix. On 30th December, it placed its first bet on Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro's being out of office by the end of January 26. Between December 30th and January 2nd, Burdensome Mix placed a total of $32,000 on the position. When Maduro was seized by U.S. Special Forces and ousted the following day, Burdensome Mix won $436,000. Shortly afterwards, the account changed its username and has not placed any bets since. Wow. You can't make this shit up. February 28th, the strikes on Iran. February 2026, 6 accounts created on Polymarket. Accounts win $1.2 million between them. According to the blockchain analysis website, Bubble Maps, 6 accounts were created on Polymarket in February. All placed wagers on a U.S. strike on Iran happening by February 28th. When the attacks were confirmed by President in the early hours of that day, the accounts earned $1.2 million between all of them. 5 of those 6 users have placed no more bets since, but one account's recent activities shows it has subsequently made $163,000 by correctly betting on a U.S.-Iran ceasefire by April 7th, which was announced by Washington and Tehran on that day. Polymarket told BBC it sets, maintains, and enforces the highest standards of market integrity, adding that it proactively works with regulators and law enforcement to do so. In March of this year, both Polymarket and Kalshi outlined new rules to crack down on insider trading. Prediction markets come under the jurisdiction of the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. The CFTC did not respond to BBC for a request of comment, but its chair recently told a congressional committee that his organization has zero tolerance for fraud and insider trading. It has also surfaced that the White House sent an internal email to staff last month warning them not to use insider information to place bets on prediction markets. Spokesman Dave Engel told the BBC at the time that any implication that the administration officials are engaged in such activity without evidence is baseless and irresponsible reporting. So, insider trading is kind of hard to prove. Insider trading has been illegal for most Americans since the Securities Act was passed in 1933. It was extended to cover U.S. government officials in 2012, although to date no one has ever been prosecuted under the law. Paula Odin, a professor who specializes in financial regulation law at the Essex Business School, says the rules are difficult to enforce. The financial authorities will not carry out a prosecution if they can't figure out who the source of information is. None of the U.S. financial authorities contacted by the BBC acknowledged any of the allegations of insider trading. You can have massive trades on a financial instrument that clearly shows someone was privy to what Donald Trump was about to declare, says Udin. Yet there is a strong chance that no one will be prosecuted, he adds. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just a constant circle jerk of this private fucking group that they have. Like, George Carlin always told us, it's a giant club and we're not invited, and this giant club makes billions of dollars off of us, off of the death of innocent people across the world, and they keep advocating for more wars so that they can keep making more money. This is what has to stop. When these elections are coming, you guys gotta do your research and see who you're voting for. See what these people stand for. See what they believe, because this is our kids' future. This is our livelihoods, and we have to make sure that we do everything that we can to hold these people accountable, because nobody's going to do it. It's our job. We are the ones who elect these people. We are the ones who decide when they're going to be in office and when they're not going to be in office. So we have to make sure that they're not in office if they're going to continue to have non-American first policies. It's that simple. It's not about other countries or war or this and that. It's about time to invest in America. It's about making sure that our American politicians are doing their job representing Americans like they're supposed to. And we have to do our homework and make sure that we vote for the right ones and we take the ones out that we're supposed to. It's not about being left or right. It's about doing the homework and realizing who's going to be America first, period. Not private contracts, not war, not countries over in the Middle East, not any other country, but America first. When are we going to rebuild America's infrastructure? We spend trillions of dollars on war, but can't spend money at home. Like, enough is enough. We want representation for the taxations we're getting. Okay? Because without representation, that taxation is just theft. And at this point, that's pretty much what it is. You've been stealing from the middle class and the lower class for decades now. The middle class is dwindling. The lower class is barely hanging on. And we're all still working every fucking day. We have to do better. We have to have knowledge. We have to do our own homework. We can't just believe what they tell us in the news and believe what they're telling us through the government is true. Do your homework. Research who you're electing. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope this episode was informational to you. Let me know if there's anything you want to get into. Let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time. All right. Thank you.